What a Monday night. In a 2-point game, just inside 2 minutes, Jameis Winston, who gave you the good, the bad, and the ugly, gives another one away. Jaquan McMillan to the ground, not touched. He's gonna go. A second pick six for this Denver defense, and they'd pick him off one more time for good measure. Winston, 497 passing yards, a franchise record, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They call that the full Jameis, and it comes in a loss for the Broncos. Postgame is presented by Old El Paso. Start somewhere fresh. Gentlemen, I am not sure where to start in this game. A box score overflowing. Moments that are hard to count at this point, Mac. I know you're hurting on that last pick because of a fantasy matchup. Your professionalism, always appreciated here. Other than that, what's the first thing that comes to mind when tomorrow I ask you about this game?
Number one, it was entertaining. And I think that was a surprise because when you look at this ball game, the Denver Broncos defense has been a very, very firm, consistent group, you know, tough at the point of attack. And you look at the Cleveland Browns, they've been, you know, playing some inspired football as well. So no one thought we would see the amount of points that we saw. But then the flow of the ball game got going. But at some point in time, guys, you cannot get mesmerized with the passing game. And that was an issue for the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston had 50-plus passing attempts. Now, granted, he was connecting. He was getting things going. But you knew when you talk about the volume, playing against that defense.
They ran 84 plays.
It's like
unbelievable. I mean, the numbers out of this one, they're hard to wrap your head around. Here's one, 497, the second most in the history of Monday Night Football. And again, a franchise record here for Jameis. He going to come to the podium shortly. We'll have that here on HQ, and I'm sure he's going to speak of his shortcomings in this game. He did a lot great, but Ryan, this is what we've come to expect from Jameis Winston. This is the full experience. What did you take from it?
Yeah, to B-Mac's point, the law of averages suggests that at some point you get some of those Jameis interceptions. You live by the Jameis, you die by the Jameis. And it was fun while it lasted. I mean, the roller coaster's a lot of fun until it flies off the tracks and you go splat at the bottom of the hill there. So that's sort of what happened at the end there. That interception, the next to last interception, I should say, just a terrible throw. This throw here, I mean, he missed a flat by a good 3 yards, and it allowed the interception, and then the pick six that ensued. And then the next interception in the game was just a matter of trying to make a play. And it's been fun. And I want to say this. Kevin Stefanski has twice now won Coach of the Year, 2020 and 2023. I would argue he outcoached Sean Payton in this game, except for a few errant throws. And if he gets fired, he should be out of work for about 30 seconds because he's done a lot with a little. We've seen teams around the league quit on their respective coaches because they're not winning football games. That has not been the case in Cleveland. I think he deserves some credit, even though we always say there are no moral victories. Again, Jameis is fun, but the clock hit midnight for him in Denver tonight.
It does make you wonder, something that has been pondered throughout watching that game, what this team would have looked like, with a full season of Jameis Winston. A lot more touchdowns, a lot more interceptions, probably the only answer to that question. Mac, you alluded to the defense here for Denver. They have been a stalwart. Top 3 in the league in total yards, in total defense, in scoring. Everywhere you look, this has been the picture of consistency. They give up 552 yards and 32 points in this game. What was the issue on the back end with this team?
Well, they had no answer for Jeudy. That's the first issue. Jeudy played against his former team. He came into this game highly motivated, and he put forth his best effort in his professional career. That's one thing. Secondly, we saw loopholes in zone coverage. The guys were not dropping where they needed to drop. You saw extra space provided for Jameis to complete passes and just communication issues. And at some point in time, you need to make sure you have your best cover guy in Pat Surtain following Jeudy wherever it is he's going on the football field. And I understand sometimes that Jeudy might be in the slot, but have Pat Surtain over on that side because Levi Wallace, it was a tough day for him not having Riley Moss in the lineup. Clearly, they was missing him because he's played fairly well opposite of Pat Surtain. But Jeudy came and was determined to put forth an unbelievable effort, and he delivered. Unfortunately for Jeudy, he didn't get the icing on top to win.
Can you talk to me about the ethos there, a defensive coordinator, or the defensive thought process behind not traveling a top-tier corner with a top-tier receiver when the two is that much of a drop-off like you have in Cleveland?
See, there lies the issue. I don't think they consider Jeudy to be a top-tier wide receiver. Granted, he's the best wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, on the Cleveland Browns, but I think looking at how they attacked and the game plan for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think they felt like Pat Surtain should follow him because Jerry Jeudy hasn't really shown the ability to be a dominating difference maker at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
But there lies the adjusting in the game. When you saw Jeudy flowing, when you saw Jameis looking for him, and they were completing passes, there you make the adjustment. Guess what, Surtain? You travel now. You follow Jerry Jeudy. We didn't really see that until that point. Jerry Jeudy had the best game he's probably ever had, going back to Pee Wee days. When you look at what he did tonight against the Denver Broncos.
It was the ultimate revenge. The most yards receiving by a player against his former team in NFL history, 235 on 9 by Jeudy. On the Broncos side of this one, is there value, Ryan, in winning a game like this? You'd like for it to be a little bit more straightforward, the execution to be a little bit cleaner, but to know that you can go into a wild one and walk away with a win, this has to have them feeling good heading towards that playoff picture.
Let me check. Is there value? Yeah, they're 8-5. It counts as a win. They are in great shape. There's a little more distance between them and the rest of the pack trying to get on the inside of the playoff bubble there. And I think it builds confidence on the offensive side of the ball, knowing that if the defense struggles, and it rarely happens in 2024, you have an opportunity with a pretty balanced attack to put up some points as well. And to be Mac's point about Patrick Surtain, they got Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. They didn't know that because they had seen plenty of Jerry Jeudy in Denver, and they thought they knew who he was. It also points to something that B-Mac underlined here, how important Riley Moss is to this team, the second-year cornerback, because Levi Wallace struggled to the point that he got benched. They brought in the rookie Chris Abrams-Strain from Missouri. He struggled, and that's no surprise. He hasn't played a lot of football, but they got to get Riley Moss healthy. Also credit Nick Bonito for getting after it this year, not just tonight. He had the pick 6. He was harassing Jameis all evening. So they're pretty stout at all 3 levels. Cody Barton had a nice game as well. And Patrick Surtain Archipelago had quite an evening when he was, in fact, targeted.
I mean, when you look at this game, it was almost like a trap game for the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
National stage, the game right before your bye week. You played against a team who was coming off an emotional high in beating a divisional foe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So guess what? You were going to get their best punch. And in today's matchup, even though their defense had some holes, they made the timely plays we needed to be. And when you talk about a defense not just creating turnovers, but scoring twice, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win those ball games. I remember Coach LeBeau gave us a stat in terms of the percentage of a team winning a ball game where your special teams unit scored a touchdown or your defensive unit scored a touchdown. It was around 85%. And that was way before analytics became a thing. He just gave us his research study that he provided.
We trust
and
Coach
that
LeBeau.
number holds true, if not even better.
Yeah.
So for the Denver Broncos, you have to applaud and feel good about this game because you took care of another opponent in which you're supposed to be a team below 500, and you get a chance to go into your bye week in the winning column and now sitting nicely in terms of playoff seeding and knowing that you still have a chance to improve your seeding as well because you look at who they're chasing. I understand the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to win this division. But now if you're the Denver Broncos, you're chasing a team that's set up in your division as well in the Los Angeles Chargers. So you have to like your chances about what you have going moving forward, knowing that you took care of business tonight because if they would have lost, that bye week wouldn't have been as entertaining or as exciting as it could have been knowing that you lost, but you had an opportunity to win a ball game.
Always better with the win, icing down the legs after a track meet on a Monday night. It is time now for our Talk About It game-changing performer of the night. Mac, who gets the game ball?
Jaquan McMillan. My goodness. I love his game, but I don't like it at all because, unfortunately, that killed my fantasy week. But let's keep it real. Individually speaking, this is a guy who's been showing some flashes here or there, but he put forth his best effort. 5 tackles, 4 PBUs. This guy was in the hip pocket of whoever the pass catcher was he was covering, not to mention the game-winning interception that he also returned for a touchdown that ended my fantasy hopes for this week. McMillan, my game, you're my player.
Hard to say. Hard to get it out. I appreciate I appreciate the professionalism. Ryan Wilson, who do you got here on a game ball?
Shout out to B-Mac for getting that out with the tears coming down his face after the fantasy defeat. I'm going to go with another JM, but on the other side of the ball, B-Mac and Musso. Jaleel McLaughlin for getting that running game going. 5'7", about 178. Didn't matter. Had his best outing of the season. He never rushed for more than 47 yards. Got almost 100. Broncos still are 30 games into having a single player rush for 100 yards, but McLaughlin got them a little closer and provided some much-needed balance because you're going to need to be able to run the ball and throw the ball down the stretch as we get into the colder months here. January is just approaching. And this offense has been pretty one-sided because the running game's been non-existent. McLaughlin had a nice little evening in a wide-open affair that, as you guys pointed out, was certainly a lot of fun to watch given the expectations coming into this thing.
Ryan Wilson, Bryant McFadden, we appreciate the professionalism and the insight as always. More coming here on CBS Sports HQ. Straight ahead, we'll take a look at that playoff picture, what this win did for the Broncos. Massive plays and massive moments, and where they might seed when it's all said and done. That's next on HQ.